Hi gorgeous, this is episode number 120 with the wonderful alchemist entrepreneur Dov Gordon.
Hi, this is Dov Gordon, and you are listening to HeartSells podcast with Christine Schlonski. Enjoy.
Hi gorgeous, I am so excited to have Dov Gordon on the show today. We are going to dive into understanding how and why people buy. So this is essential to each and every business, and I'm so super excited. So stay tuned. Before we dive right in, hop on over to christineschlonski.com, find the podcast tab. There you find obviously all the podcast transcripts, show notes, resources, and links, but also you can sign up for the empowerment notes. This is my weekly empowerment to you right into your inbox, where I share stuff that I usually do not share on social media and where you have all the updates about HeartSells podcast. So hop on over to christineschlonski.com, find the podcast tab, have fun, and let's dive in with the amazing alchemist entrepreneur, Dov Gordon. Dov helps consultants and experts get ideal clients consistently. There are millions and millions of consultants and coaches who are really good at what they do, but they are not charismatic guru types, and they never want to be. They love their work, and all they want is a consistent flow of great clients. Clients who value their experience and who value who they are as people and pay them well for it. Dov and his small team take a tactic agnostic approach. They will help you build a strong strategic foundation, and they will help you to apply it and build a simple client getting system that best works for you. So I'm really, really excited having Dov on the show. So let's dive in. Well, I am so excited to have you on HeartSells podcast today, Dov. Welcome.
Well, thanks. Great to be here as well.
Yes.
Had a good chat with you the other week when we first met, and I look forward to talking again.
Yes, and I'm really excited because, somebody who dedicates their entrepreneurial endeavors to really help consultants and experts to get their ideal clients and to keep them and, to have this constant stream of clients coming their way. It's such an important work in the world. So how did you get to that space? What made you choose? I'm quite sure there were more opportunities to choose from to pick that path.
Well, it was an evolution. That's the short story, that's for sure. It was an evolution. I'm self-taught. I kind of discovered the business and self-help sections in the library as a 13-year-old, I believe. I think the first book that I discovered was $1 Million Habits by Robert Ringer. I don't know if you came across him. But that opened my eyes to certain things, and I just spent the next years reading more and more and studying. At some point, I heard about business coaching. I enrolled in a coaching school, as I think they call them. I learned enough to get started, which was very helpful, though several years ago I found the materials from it and looked through it, and I was thinking, wow, this is so basic. This was so, the tools, the ideas were not very sophisticated, but still it gave me what I needed at the time to get started. It did not really help me understand how to get clients. And I don't know, how many people have been through coach training listening to us, but one thing that I think they teach that's doing people a disservice is this idea that you don't need to be an expert in order to be a coach. In my opinion, is that might be true, that you don't need to be an expert in order to be a coach, but you do need to be an expert if you want to have clients. Because the fact is, clients are looking for some kind of expertise. Clients are looking for somebody who's going to lead them from A to B. And that always boils down to a problem they have and don't want, or a result they want and don't have. And sure, there is a place for process, and I'm very much about process. So I totally understand that. It's not all about being an expert in Facebook ads necessarily or so on. There is a place for being a really good coach, and you can help people with a variety of situations. However, you do need to understand how and why people buy. And I think that is something that I didn't understand for too many years. And just to answer your question, the first 7 or almost 8 years that I was in my coaching consulting business was a real uphill battle, a real struggle. Towards the end of that period, I started to really understand a lot of what I didn't know. And at some point I realized that there are a lot of people like me, not natural marketers, not natural salespeople, not looking to be an online celebrity type. Although this is going back to 2008 and before. I started in 2002, so probably about 2008, maybe 9, is when I started making that transition. And I realized that, one of the things that I'm good at is suffering through something and actually deeply understanding it. What were the underpinnings behind it? And then being able to explain that in a simple and clear way. So, nobody could save me or you from, our own journey in life. No one could save us from the pain and the lessons that we have to learn, that's for sure. But other people can certainly help us reduce some of the unnecessary pain or the unnecessary suffering, or figuring it out for ourselves. And when you're really good at something and you have a lot to offer, and you just cannot figure out how to reach the people that you can help, and when you reach them and you have a conversation with them and you can't figure out, what did I just say that totally knocked this conversation off track? I know I can help this person, but I also know that I just blew it, and they're not seeing it. It is a deeply frustrating feeling that I remember all too well. And learning how to kind of show up every day and really how to think about it, what to do about it, is it's a huge service for people. I literally just got this. I just popped into my head right now. So I got this today. This is a post from somebody who was a client of ours for our UA Force to be Reckoned With program. And he'd left employment, left a job, wanted to become a consultant to restaurants. And we were helping him get started, figuring out how to get started. Very tight on cash, though. Very tight on cash. He scraped it together to join the program, but he was really sincere, and he really wanted help. And he just posted this overnight. It's like, "Hi, Dov and Shayna." Shayna works with me. I just want to check in with you guys. I want to let you know how much the program helped me to clarify ideas, right? To have a bigger yes than my no. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it reads like an unsolicited testimonial, which it is. But there's a part that I just feel like was that, he ended up going off a little bit in a different direction. But he just goes on to talk about how the thinking and the skills that he learned, he did get a client in restaurant consulting, but he also, he ended up starting off, and this is just in the last couple of months, he had been doing some work in construction alongside to be able to pay the bills. And he ended up getting a contract to build a restaurant, as well as help manage, help consult on the management of it, which wasn't at all what he was originally going for when he came to work with us, but all the skills that he learned. I believe that what we need is not more information. I imagine that anybody listening to this has already read books, taken courses, attended events, worked in programs. We know enough. What we need is to more deeply understand the things that we know. And that comes through some kind of experience, right? Ideally, it's a series of architected experiences that are architected for you. I can't teach you what you most need to know. What I might be able to do is lead you through certain experiences so that you come to understand it on your own. Because we're not talking about knowledge at this stage so much, or information, although we always need to keep learning and so on. But what's really going to make the difference? At some point, what's really going to make the difference is not more knowledge, more information. It's a deeper understanding of the things that you already know. And that's the approach that we like to take.
I love it. And it's so important because I remember when I was sitting in coach training,
Yep.
You learned all these amazing tools and it was perfect at the time. because, you had to start somewhere. It was really well done. But when it came to the part where we learned how to sell ourselves as coaches, that was like more than basic. Like you could see in the people's faces that they didn't like it, that they were not comfortable with it. So I think it's so important that you are stepping in and supporting people on that journey with, orchestrating their knowledge and then putting it out in a way that their ideal client can understand what they do. And because he or she understands the value they're receiving, then they can make an informed purchasing decision, which before, when it's like a weird conversation that's confusing, a confused mind can't even buy or is not going to buy. So I think that's such an important piece.
Absolutely.
Do you believe that there is a thing like a natural salesperson?
I think there are. I think there absolutely are. To me, sales is leadership. I think that there are people who are naturally born with certain skills, certain talents, certain abilities that are in a higher or lower proportion to others. I also think that we can learn and improve our natural tendencies. Somebody just posted something on LinkedIn yesterday that was basically saying entrepreneurship is not something you're born with. It's something that you learn, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, his point was, if entrepreneurship is something that you're born with, and people are, I don't remember exactly what he said, but it didn't make much sense, because I just turned it around the opposite and it said, well, if that's what you're saying, then that means that people who entrepreneurship can be, people don't learn very well, because entrepreneurship, obviously people are struggling with it. 95% of businesses fail. So, I mean, anytime people take an extreme position, it's attractive in many ways to an audience. It helps build an audience. I'm kind of talking on a number of different things right now. I'll bring it together. But you asked me if I think people are born as salespeople, right? Are they born with certain natural tendencies? And the answer, I think, is yes, but it's a combination of things. And I generally try to avoid the arguments about nature or nurture, taking an extreme position, because my view is that it's all true. There's something valid in everything. And interestingly enough, and this is a struggle, this is where I'm getting back to the related point. One of the things that people like me, like I said, I'm not a natural born marketer, salesperson, but that's what I've been doing for many years now. And we've been helping others do it better, because you don't have to be what I think of as the charismatic guru celebrity type. There are two paths to thrive as a consultant, expert, so on. The first is the path of the charismatic guru, and the other is the path of mastery. And they're both legitimate, as long as you're being ethical and so on. They're both legitimate. The problem is that the path of the charismatic guru is probably only correct for 10 to 15% of people who have what to share, an expertise, a consultant, and so on. But for the other 85 or so percent, it's the wrong path. And that's why people start walking down that path, because that's what's most visible to us, and that's what we're being told you should do, and we get stuck. So you need to kind of recognize that there is another path, and that's the path of mastery, and that comes from a deep understanding of when people buy, why do they buy? And then how can I talk about what I do in a way that makes it clear that I could lead them from where they are to where they want to be, because sales is leadership. And one of what I found to be a little tricky is that on the path of the charismatic guru type, there are people who have no trouble getting up and publicly making proclamations about this is how it is. And they have a certain certainty and a certain absolute quality to what they're saying. And the rest of us who are in that area in some way, whatever it happens to be, we're looking to be led. And when someone gets up there and with such certain, total confidence says something, there's a temptation to nod our heads and agree, just because we are not as certain about that. And we'd like to agree with them for whatever reason. And for many people who have who don't have that type of personality, but are more able to see that, well, sometimes that's true and sometimes that's true, it's a struggle to, well, how can I get up and be like that or just talk like that? And we have to recognize there are two paths. So that it's fine for the charismatic guru type to get up and make those types of proclamations, but don't try to be something that you're not comfortable with. And you've got to know that there is another legitimate approach that really does work and can work to help you get what you want.
Yeah, so true. The person who is really convinced of what they do, who really has that outgoing personality, like that conviction, they usually sell more because people want
Yes.
to believe.
Right.
So let's talk about confidence a little bit, confidence in sales. What is your experience when you take a look at your path and your clients? What would you say is one of the most important elements that people can learn to make a bigger impact in their business?
You just brought up a really good point, and that is that the point about how that relates to confidence, what we were just talking about. Getting up and saying, this is how it is, like, everybody should be building a Facebook ad to evergreen webinar funnel or whatever, or everybody should be doing whatever, LinkedIn or podcasts or webinars. Like this is the kind of thing that we see all the time, right? Everyone has to rebrand. Everyone has to publish a book. These are all just tactics. What we need to understand is that every tactic can work and every tactic could fail. When you understand that every tactic could work and every tactic could fail, then the question to ask is not what is working or what should I do, but the question is, first you want to ask, when it works, why does it work? When it fails, why does it fail? Because when you have that understanding, then you can build your own simple, repeatable marketing funnel, your own simple, repeatable marketing and selling system, which is simply, I do A, then I do B, then I do C, and it brings me D leads and E become clients. And I'll just give a quick answer, just a quick kind of glimpse of what I mean by the path of mastery and how this works and how this ties into confidence. Stephen Covey from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he said, it goes like this. It was to the effect of, in order to say no to all the distractions on the outside, you have to have a deeper yes burning on the inside. It's only when you have that deeper yes. When it comes to a consultant, coach, expert, in order to be able to say no to all distractions that everybody's telling you, you got to be doing this, got to be doing that, and so on, you have to have that deeper yes in the form of a simple marketing system that actually brings you clients. Because until you have that, you will constantly be doubting yourself, and you're kind of not tempted. I can't think of the word, but you're in a situation where you're likely to jump after the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, instead of looking at what you already know and say, how can I get better at this? How can I make it better? So what you need is the most basic, a very basic, simple, repeatable system. And I'll just say this. Most people, when you think about you ask them, what's the purpose of a marketing funnel? Everybody talks about jargon, marketing funnel, right? I need a marketing funnel. You need a sales funnel. Of course, why? Anytime it's a system, right? Anytime you're going to have a system, it's got to have a reason, a purpose. Why do you need a marketing funnel? Well, to fill your pipeline, to get leads, to close deals. Great. And we nod our heads in agreement because it makes a lot of sense, except it's very superficial. We're skidding across the surface. I like to get below the surface. I want to peel off layers. I want to see the underlying structure. And to me, the underlying structure is this. The purpose of your marketing system is to help your ideal client answer yes to the only 3 questions they ever ask. And there are 3 questions that your ideal clients ask from when they never heard of you, you're a total stranger, to where they're happy to pay you money. And I'll say what those are, and then we can go deeper or sideways or any way you want to go. The first question that they ask, it doesn't matter what tactic you use to get in front of them. The very first question they always ask is, should I pay attention? Is it interesting? And the first job of your marketing system is to lead them to answer, yes, that is interesting. And then instantly they have a second question, which is, okay, you got me interested, but can I trust you? Are you for real? The second job of your marketing system is to lead them to answer, yes, I can trust you. Yes, you're obviously for real. Yes, you really seem to know your stuff, and you actually seem to care. And when they answer yes to that second question, then instantly they have a third question, which is, okay, you got me interested. I really think I can trust you. Last question, is what you recommend right for me? Is what you recommend right for me? And at that point, as soon as their brain answers, well, yes, what you recommend is right for me, now you have a new client. Congratulations, because they're ready to buy. And Whereas when you think that my marketing funnel, the purpose of it is to fill my pipeline, I wake up in the morning, I don't know what the hell to do. And that's why I'm susceptible to all the different advice from all the different directions and all the angles. And I'm all over the place. But when you realize that the true purpose of your marketing funnel, your marketing system, all you need to do is lead your ideal clients to answer 3 yeses. Now I know exactly what I need to do. I need, as few pieces as possible to put in place to help them answer yes to that first question, as little as possible to help them answer the second question, and for the third. And if I can, put in as little as possible, I don't need overly complicated systems. Most people are not looking to make multi-7 figures in scaling. Most people are looking to be doing great work with great clients, making a nice income, a great income. Okay, and that for most people, that's somewhere probably mid 6 figures. Okay, and still have a life. All right, and that's mostly who we're working with, and we're helping them get to that place. For that, you really don't need complicated. And that's also why I say the question isn't what's working or what should I do. And then because when you say what should I do, now we can be pulled this way or that by the latest guru who's like, well, do this, do that, no, do this. Instead, we say, when it works, why does it work? And then we understand it. We understand it works because you're helping them answer yes to 3 questions. Good. Now I know exactly what to do next. And that's what we talk about, the difference between the path of the charismatic guru or the path of mastery. Path of mastery, understand why things work when they work. Understand why your ideal clients buy when they buy. Understand how to talk about that to them in a way that leads them to say yes, yes, and yes. Understand the things you already know that you've heard so many times that you just nod your head as if, yeah, but don't yet deeply understand. Get to that point. And it's not that difficult, but it's also not that easy. And when you understand what you're trying to build and why, it becomes a lot easier to focus on the few things. You get to the point where, like Stephen Covey said, you have that burning yes. That burning yes in our case is that simple, repeatable marketing and selling system. When you have that, you're free to focus. No longer are you pulled in many different directions. You're not overwhelmed. And that's a magical place for people, especially people who know they're good but have struggled to make sales consistently, to get ideal clients consistently.
Yeah, I just love that. And that's why I think our messages are so aligned, because that's the work we are bringing to the world, where we don't need to get or help produce the next guru, just somebody that's doing a really, really good job, that has a wonderful gift to give to the world. Support those people to give more of it, because often they get frustrated so soon because there are all these shiny objects, right? They don't know what to do, so everything seems so appealing, and then they get overwhelmed. And I for sure have been there, being overwhelmed.
We all have.
Buying one course after the next, joining one mastermind after the next, and then still not knowing what to do. So I love that clear path and those questions, especially I think where people probably miss out, if somebody buys from them, if somebody says, well, yes, you are my next coach or my next consultant, or your product is going to help me. I know very, very few people who actually ask the question, why? What made you purchase? What made you say yes to you so we can work together?
That's a great question.
Yeah. Do you have any insights? Like, do you, I mean, I know you teach people that, but do you have experience that they ask that question naturally, or is there a certain way to ask that question so the answers get better?
Well, you mean like when you have a new client, asking them, why did you decide to do this?
Yeah.
That's, I have a few thoughts come to mind. Let's see where it takes us. If I'm starting to work with a new client and I'm having a sales conversation with them, a strategy session, whatever you want to call it, but ultimately it's a conversation where I need to better understand them, because I first need to be sure that they are somebody that I could help. Okay, I'm not going to take them unless I'm convinced of that. At that point, by the time we're in that conversation, I at least feel like I really understand most of the time why they're going ahead. Having said that, I'm listening to you and I'm thinking that's actually a really good idea, and it's a good question to ask, even after I feel like I understand them. Because if there's one thing I've learned, is that you never fully understand another person. Hard enough to understand ourselves. think they would ever fully understand even our ideal client. That's why, like, I I record those conversations, of course, with permission, and usually for them as well. They usually want it, but I sometimes review them, and I hear things that I missed the first time. And the more deeply I understand my ideal client, the better my marketing messaging is. The emails I send out, the webinar that I could put on. But still, like, like, there's definitely a point where we think we understand why people are doing it, but it's definitely better to ask more often than to not ask. So I like your question. I like it. I think the whole idea is good, and it's simple. As for why people don't ask, I think people are afraid. One of the things that we lead clients to do is go back and sometimes when it makes sense, not every time, but go back to one of your or several of your best clients and ask, why did they start working with you? Why did they continue working with you? People are afraid to ask questions like that because they're afraid of hearing something like, well, actually, I actually wasn't so happy about it, or whatever they're afraid of hearing. And that's understandable. But as soon as we realize that the client feels that way regardless, the information and the feeling is there. It's just that everybody else knows about it but you. You might as well, suddenly the pain of not knowing is greater than the pain of, the imagined pain of maybe what they might say. And then you realize, I might as well know about that so I can make things better, right? So.
Yeah, awesome. Well, and you did bring us a gift, which I would love for you to give us some ideas what people are getting when they go to dovgordon.net HeartSells. Because I was really, when we talked about it and you said that you will offer that, I was really like, what? Seriously? So I'm very excited about that. And before we unfortunately need to wrap up, but I'm glad we have a second conversation where we can go deeper. Can you send people to the right way and let them know what they are getting when they go to get that amazing gift?
Well, it's at dovgordon.net /HeartSells in your honor. And that's dovgordon.net /HeartSells. And you'll see there my manual, which I sold for 5 years for $97. And that's why, and I believe you had a look at it. And there's zero fluff in this. I did not write this to give away. I wrote this to sell. And like I said, we sold it for 5 years. I'm giving it away now because at some point I realized that people would read it, buy it, and then a certain percentage would come and want to work with me to get some help. Because fact is, if it's not about more and more information, it's about more deeply understanding things you already know. And if the way to get that understanding is through a series of architected experiences, many people get to the point where you realize, well, okay, for things to really change, I need those architected experiences. And that's why they say want to get some hands-on coaching or help. So that's really that's why we're sharing it. I'm just being very upfront. It's win-win-win that way. So it's called How to Systematically and Consistently Attract First-Rate Clients. It's about 90 pages. Every week I get messages on LinkedIn or email, hey, I got your manual, and just last week someone said I have it printed out in the car, and between appointments I read through it. I get a coffee and read through it. Others have waved it, showed to me it's on their desk printed out. So that's really great. I mean, we've had tens of thousands, maybe even more by now. People go through that, and if that's it. I'm happy to share that.
Yeah, I love that. I just opted in when you sent me the link. So I'm really looking forward going through it because I love that no fluff, strategy. It's so aligned with giving from your heart, really providing the service to then attract those clients you truly want to work with. And I'm looking forward to have the next episode with you so we can go deep at the no fluff strategy and deeper to those 3 questions we just started to cover. So thank you so much for having been on HeartSells podcast. And also I will put everything in the show notes, the resources, so people can just go over to christineschlonski.com, and it's all the information to connect with you is just one click away. Thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to the next interview. Well, what an amazing episode. I just love the work that Dov does in this world, because it's so true. Not everybody wants to be the charismatic guru. We just, as people, we want to deliver amazing value. We want to serve. We want to have fun. We want to enjoy life while doing good things. And not everybody is born to be a Tony Robbins or a Brian Tracy or a Zig Ziglar. So that's totally fine. There's so many amazing coaches and consultants out there who just do amazing work, but not that many people know their names, right? So I found this interview with Dov so inspiring, and I hope you did too. Please make sure you share the episode with at least 2 of your friends, and also make sure you subscribe to HeartSells podcast. And thank you so much for leaving a rating and a review so we can build a movement of heart sellers who are authentic when selling, having fun, and delivering amazing, amazing value. Thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful day wherever you are in this beautiful world. And I'm saying bye for now.